Welcome to the Mike on Much podcast. I am your host, Mike Veerman. I'm here with my friend and trusty producer and singer of the Arkells, Max Kerman.
Hello, Mike and Internet.
How you doing, Max?
Well, I just rolled off your couch about 25 minutes ago. I crashed at your place in Toronto. The band is in town doing some stuff.
You actually should be recording at this very moment, but instead you're here with us doing Facebook Live.
Yeah, the band is probably wondering where I'm at, but if they're on the internet, they'll know.
So for our listeners, this is actually going to be the Nelly Furtado episode. So you're watching at home on Facebook Live. We're also trying something a little new. We're recording this. So this pod will actually go up on Monday. Our featured guest is Nelly Furtado. Great interview. You were there in the room. You came in for this one.
Delightful. She's awesome.
She's pretty great.
Yeah.
Okay, but also, it is a snow day pretty much. There's not a lot of people here at 299 Queen Street West. I feel like Hamilton is inundated with snow. Our pop culture aficionado, Shane Cunningham, was supposed to be here, sitting with us, talking The Bachelor right now.
This was supposed to be a Bachelor finale recap episode. And we actually had an expert named Glenn who has his own podcast. What's it called? It's called
The Bachelor Podcast.
The Bachelor Podcast. And it was supposed to be a three-man...
Four-man.
Well, it was supposed to be three experts, Shane, Glenn, and I, who are rabid Bachelor fans. And Mike was going to moderate the conversation.
I was going to moderate it. Yeah.
And but what you were looking for?
Well, my big gag last night, I was calling all of the gag shops in Toronto, like all of the funny gift things, and I was going to get those eyeglasses that look like you're awake, but you can actually sleep. So I couldn't find one, but I legitimately called like Malabars. Like there was a bunch of them.
That would have been a good bit.
Yeah, but I didn't get to do it. But we're not even doing the Bachelor pod
Because Shane got snowed in. He's probably watching from Hamilton right now.
He could be, or he's playing in the snow.
Yeah, one or the other.
So we might still do that tomorrow. In fact, we are going to still do that tomorrow. What else is going on, Maxie?
Well, what is going on? The band's in town doing some stuff, secret stuff. You'll hear about it soon, but I can't tell you about it right now.
That's a tasty tease.
Yeah. It's been nice being home. You know, the band has been touring a lot lately, but I've been home and off the road for about 3 weeks. I was able to attend our friend Vanessa and Scott's wedding 2 weekends ago.
Yeah.
In Hamilton, and it was actually a great time. There's not too many February weddings, the summer gets kind of gobbled up by weddings, like every weekend. Every weekend you have to go to a wedding, but in February there's nothing going on. So I was actually quite pleased that there was like an event that we could all go. So set the scene for the wedding.
Okay, so it's kind of like that thing where I feel like a lot of people in our peer group are all getting married these days. So this was another example of that. Our friend Vanessa, her husband Scott, were getting married. Vanessa's the sister of one of our crazier friends, Julian.
If you go on our Instagram account,
Arkell's Instagram,
there's a shirtless man dancing sometimes. That's Julian, and it's his sister Vanessa who's getting.
He's a brilliant physical comedian, although that's not his profession.
He's actually, by the way, I think the Champagne Boys get a bad rap for just being a bunch of frat boys,
right,
which sometimes we can be on the weekends.
Okay.
But Julian works for a nonprofit doing fundraising. He's doing God's work, basically.
Yeah, and he also does a hilarious physical impression of a guy dancing and flicking a cigarette and then walking off of camera. You can see it on the Arkell's Instagram.
Yeah, I recommend it.
So essentially, this is one of those fun weddings where all of our friends go. So there's like 18 of us rolling in there, and inevitably, at some point on the dance floor in the night, it only takes one. Someone takes their shirt off, usually Julian, and then it starts like an avalanche, or in honor of today's snow day, a snowball that turns into a boulder.
But there's two pieces of context that I think are important for our listeners and our viewers to know.
Hit us.
So number one, this wedding was a little bit different, and so Scott is a chaplain, and he really does important work in the community for people that are unwell and are maybe in the last part of their life. He is their comfort, and he comes from a kind of a religious Christian family, and so it took place in a church, and we haven't been to many weddings that were in a church. So the cynics in the group were like, is this going to be all God talk all the time?
Nobody was like that.
There's a couple of people that in our group that
mostly
said it.
Max.
Yeah, no, I didn't say that. No. But the wedding was beautiful in the church, and it was a little bit religious, but it was all the great parts about religion. It was the parts that sort of like celebrated love and community and respect for everybody, and that is the kind of religion that Scott champions.
I completely agree about that, and it's interesting that you say that, because like the last 5 weddings that have taken place amongst our group, like you said, no churches, everybody sort of just had an officiant, done it in sort of an alternative place, and I hadn't been to a church wedding in a while, and it was really nice.
And you know what? The spirit of all the weddings, Scott and Vanessa's included, was the same to me. Even though one was held in church and others were held in other places.
All right, get to the shirtless one.
So, okay, so that's number one. No, but the reason why I bring this up is that there was definitely, just on both sides of the family, older members that, you know, probably weren't prepared to see a bunch of 30-year-olds with their shirts off at 10 p.m. The second part of it, the reception was held in the fanciest place that Hamilton has to offer. It's called the Hamilton Club. It's basically an old boys club. You need a membership to go. And it's just basically like old white dudes smoking cigars inside. I don't know if they smoke cigars inside anymore. But it's a very...
At one time they did.
It's a very fancy place. Julie and Vanessa's dad is an amazing dude named Brent, but he's a lawyer. He's made a great life for himself, and he has, I think he's a member or he has an in at the club, one or the other. So we were really worried going into the wedding, would we be able to take our shirts off on the dance floor?
It was a major concern.
Yeah, it was a major concern. And then, because we had asked Brent, we said, Brent, are we able to do our shirts off thing? And he said, oh, we can't do that tonight, fellas, and kind of gave us one of these.
Right.
And sure enough, he was like the second guy with the shirt off.
He was.
And the best part about it all...
He's a champagne man.
He's a champagne man. Is that... So I was documenting a lot of this night on Instagram stories, on the Arkell's socials. And a lot of people in Hamilton follow that account. And I guess the next week, a lot of lawyers were going up to Brent going, I see you've had a bit of a wild weekend. So he's either ruined his reputation or has only grown his legend. I don't know, one or the other.
One or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so that happened.
So that was a good time.
That was a great time. Lots has been going on. Did you watch The Bachelor last night?
Okay, so this is what happened. So,
should we save this for tomorrow?
No, it's actually not that good, so I'll just say it right now.
Hit me.
It's not worth the tease. So the Arkells are doing some stuff in the studio, and I was supposed to be doing vocals, like recording some vocals, and but The Bachelor was on during the time I was supposed to be doing vocals, so I kept on delaying the vocals, and I had my laptop up, and I was I wasn't really listening to the song. I was just trying to watch The Bachelor to prepare for today's podcast.
Right.
And then finally the guys made me go in and do some vocals, and then I kind of banged them out really quick, and I was like, this is good, right?
Yeah, nailed it.
Nailed it.
Back to The Bachelor.
And then, so I saw a bunch of the show, but I didn't see all of it. I saw when they got engaged.
Okay, save that business.
Okay.
But
No, but the point I'm getting to is I wanted to do more research once I got back to your place, because I was crashing at Mike's place last night, and I couldn't find a stream or download of the show. It's so, you know when you go down, you're trying to find an illegal download? I know we're in a TV network right now, but, and you just can't find those illegal links. I was literally up till 2 in the morning trying to find the illegal stream, but I couldn't find it.
So that's probably a good reason to then pay for cable.
Yeah.
If you can't find that illegal stream. But we'll catch up tonight on our research.
Yeah.
Hopefully legally. Another thing I want to talk about that's been in the news that I read is, you know this basketball player for UCLA, Lonzo Ball?
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know if any of you follow. It's March Madness, college hoops. I actually don't really like college basketball. I feel like it's
And
sloppy.
you're a basketball fan.
I'm a huge basketball fan. Anyone that listens knows this. But college ball I find very sloppy, 35-second shot clock. It's just boring to me. But Lonzo Ball is going to be this guy that goes top 5. So he's sort of the next big superstar. The reason I think Lonzo Ball is interesting is because he has a father named Lavar Ball. And Lavar has recently been in the news because there was a big USA Today story about him yesterday where he basically is very proud of his son. He has 2 other sons. So basically he talked about how essentially he had 3 sons and he was going to groom them to basically be NBA players. The two ones with license drive around $100,000 cars, and he made a bunch of outrageous claims like, if I'd played Michael Jordan back in the day,
This is my favorite one.
he's like, I would have beat him. He's like, he couldn't stop me. I would have backed him down. He said that he wants a deal, like a Nike deal,
Yeah.
for his 3 sons, but they're a package deal, and it's got to be worth $1 billion.
And but for context, his oldest son is in first year university, and his oldest son is a sure thing and is going to be a top 3 pick. But the other sons are 17 and 14 years old.
They're very good high school players.
They're very good high school players, but a lot could happen in a few years. I don't know. Sorry, I cut you off.
But I just enjoy so here's my question.
Yeah.
Is this hubris? Is he being embarrassingly over selling the kid? Is he taking the spotlight from the kid? Or is he just sort of a pragmatic guy that's like, hey, listen, this university is making a ton off of my kid. He's getting nothing. He has his own marketing company too with the branding. It's called, what is it, Big Baller Brand?
Big balls or something, yeah.
Anyway, do you think that he's being an opportunist in a good way, or do you think that he's being a distraction for his kid, who's obviously the one with all the talent?
Listen, I'm all about being like a savvy negotiator and being pragmatic and like looking out for your kids. That's all good. But you're kind of setting them up to fail in a way. Like if they don't like get to the expectations that he has in his mind, which is like NBA superstars, they're going to be seen as failures. I just think like the pressure of being those kids is immense. But the other thing I think about sometimes is like if you've been around your dad your whole life and he's that kind of guy, nothing probably surprises you at this point. Because sometimes I've witnessed kids who have like really sort of outlandish parents and how they put up with that. But a lot of kids are just like, oh yeah, that's just my dad. Like they're not.
It's not weird for them.
It's not weird for them at all. So, but I just know that if I was in their shoes, I would be very uncomfortable.
Would you be like, Dad,
yeah,
cut
shut
it out?
Up,
right.
Shut up. Yeah, it was. My favorite part about it is like it's one thing for him to come out and say, okay, Nike's going to have to give us $1 billion to.
Oh, and not all at once. He said you could give him $100 million a year for the next 10 years.
Yeah, you can start there. But my other favorite part was like, and you know what else? I could beat Michael Jordan one-on-one. Like that was just the craziest thing. It kind of made the other stuff seem more ridiculous because he threw in this Michael Jordan thing.
Yeah, I do wonder if people will see him as sort of like a shameless opportunist.
Which he is.
And is that bad, or is he just getting what's entitled to him because he knows his son is one of the best basketball players in the country?
Time will tell. He could come out, at the end of the day looking like a genius, or like in 20 years, or he could
ruin his kid.
Or ruin his kid. Do we have any questions, by the way?
Yeah, we got Dan Carruthers behind the camera there with the microphone, so that's what you're hearing if you're listening to this pod on.
And if you're this is a new segment where we answer questions from the pod.
Trying new shit.
We got one comment about how the microphones aren't working, which I think we maybe just need to reset, that we're recording the audio for later.
You're not hearing the mic feed. You're just hearing what's going into the phone.
Yeah. We do have an interesting question from Jonathan Popoulos.
Is the audio working though generally?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
people can hear. Yeah.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah. John wants to know, have either of you actually met a flat earther? Someone who genuinely believes the earth is flat. There are literally thousands of people out there who believe this.
Thousands. Well, pretty famously in the last month, Kyrie Irving, all-star of the Cleveland Cavaliers, point guard and champion, said that he believed the world was flat. And that sort of caused a big conversation amongst people that watch. But other than him saying that, and maybe he said it facetiously, I'm not sure, I've never met anyone that actually believes the world is flat.
Yeah, me neither. The other thing, though...
Do you think it's possible?
That the world is flat?
You've never seen it for yourself.
Okay, sure. Here's the thing. I don't care. Like, it's one of these things, I don't know why anybody spends their time going, wait a second, you people are over there full of shit and we're right. It's like, who cares? When people get really, like, down the rabbit hole with, like, topics like this, it's like, don't we have other shit to talk about that's actually meaningful? Affects us? It's like, it's like, I believe in probably what the scientists believe. That's generally, like, speaking my rule. And after that, I'm on to the next thing.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I should have started with Andrea because hers was the first question. Oh, Shane Christian Cunningham just joined our Facebook
Oh,
Live.
Shane, so nice of you to join us.
Andrea wants to know if you have any new music recommendations, or if you heard the new, is it L-A-N-Y?
Lanny. I have not heard the new Lanny, but I like that band. But I will check it out. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that just came out. I'm usually pretty good at looking at the Spotify New Music Friday charts.
Well, actually,
but you know what?
No, yeah, take it.
We were hanging out with a future podcast guest, Kay Flay, who's actually from Chicago, which I believe is the area Andrew's from. And she sent us a private link to her new record. So, eat that, world.
Well, but on iTunes for her new record,
there are 6 songs.
There's 6 songs up, and she's got a big song right now.
Blood in the Cut.
Blood in the Cut. And so, in prep for doing the interview, I listened to those 6 songs, and I like it a lot.
And we went to go. She's on tour right now with Mother.
Another former podcast.
Yeah.
That's up if you want to listen to it.
So, good plug. So, Kay Flay, delightful, smart woman, Christine. And go see her on tour with Mother if you're in Canada. And her record comes out in like 2 weeks. So, we highly recommend you check that out.
Speaking of singing, interesting question from Suzanne. Do the Arkells still sing, or did you break up?
What? Like, I'm literally going to see the guys in...
I think because you're not singing right now.
Oh, I see.
You must be broken up.
No. We're still together. I'm going to go see them in 20 minutes.
Right. Are you sure that wasn't like Mike D or somebody?
Superfan Alicia just joined. She wants to know, I've been wondering this too, how long will Mike grow out his hair for?
This is actually a good topic of conversation.
Is it?
Okay, because you go through various states of hair length, facial hair, and I think, and you're considered a very handsome guy, but there's some times when people sort of whisper amongst our friends, why is he sabotaging himself? It's like, what? Like a couple years ago, we went to Cuba on a trip, and for some inexplicable reason, you shaved your head and you grew out a Fu Manchu mustache, and you had some weird justification for it. So there's two parts of the question. One, what is the game plan? I guess to echo Alicia, and two, what does Danica make of any of this? Danica's Mike's wife.
Wow. I'm learning all of this for the first time. I'm just trying to live my life, and there's whispers and secret corners about Mike's decision making. That's like when I found it because I was into jogging pants for a while, and Danica told me that like all the girls were out having a drink, and they're like, "So Mike, like he's wearing jogging pants a lot." And I'm like, "You guys are talking about me at dinner? Like my jogging pants are that upsetting to you guys?"
They're not upsetting. They're just raises some questions.
Yeah, why is he sabotaging himself?
Yeah.
That is the funniest line I've ever heard. So, okay, first question, how long am I going to grow it? Thanks for asking. I don't know. I'm just kind of going with the flow. Literally. I haven't really thought about it. I got it cut before my wedding, like about a month before my wedding. And then my plan was to cut it after that. But the dude that cuts my hair hasn't been in town. So then I just kind of kept going. I don't know. It's just like, you get busy. So the answer is, I don't know. But
you get busy. You're not that busy.
Nah. But I don't know. Like, maybe I'll shave my head tomorrow. I just kind of, like, go with the whim.
Cool.
So I guess that would be the answer. I don't have an answer. And I'm not really, if you're like, what's the plan? Or, like, what am I thinking? I don't really think too much about it. I just kind of do it.
Cool.
Do you think if I cut my hair and shave my mustache, though, like the pod could be more successful?
No, I think the quirkier you look, the better the pod will do. So it works for me. I don't care.
You're down with it?
I'm down with it.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
I like that it's an audio
I just
podcast.
think that especially girls are like the girlfriends in our group are like think of you as a nice looking guy, and it just sort of scratch their head and also go, if I was Danica, this wouldn't be lasting. Really.
Oh, that was the other question. What does Danica think?
Oh yeah, what does she think of it?
She's very supportive. And I hope watching this right now. I know, I'm sure she's annoyed at some point.
Yeah, she's like, I have bigger battles to deal with when it comes to Mike. So.
She did ask if I was going to cut it before the wedding, and I was like, I'm going to keep it long. And
I thought it looked good because you didn't have a mustache at the wedding.
I did. Okay, I'll shave the mustache after this podcast.
No, it's cool. I'm saying quirky for the podcast. For the wedding, you got to look a little faster.
Okay, cool.
Well, Leslie thinks you're a couple of babes, so we do have a compliment.
Thank you.
I don't get the reference, but Ian wants to know, does Grayson Allen have one more meltdown left in him?
Oh, so Grayson Allen is a college player for Duke. He looks a little bit like a young Ted Cruz.
Which Ted? Oh, Ted Cruz, not Tom Cruise.
Not Tom Cruise. Very different people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Duke, we won't get too deep into this, but Duke basketball, the university, has a great tradition of having obnoxious white guys on their team that really like antagonize the crowd. Previously, J.J. Redick, who's now in the NBA, he was the guy that sort of like was just the most annoying little white dude in college basketball that the opposing team's fans would just like be chanting at the whole game.
People also love to hate Duke.
Yeah, they love to hate Duke because Duke's like a rich white guy school.
Yeah.
Grayson Allen is the most recent version of this, but he's also very petulant. Like he's
particularly.
He's
more so than anyone has been, I think.
Oh yeah, and also he's like kind of violent. Like he'll kick guys in the balls and stuff like that, like regularly. And he's got suspended and stuff. So I think he has one more meltdown.
I think so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah,
It'll make the tournament interesting.
It'd be so great.
Yeah.
Speaking of meltdown, Alyssa wants to know, do you guys like the snow?
Ooh, good question.
Bad segue.
Do we like the snow? I think that the snow is pretty. When there's a lot of it and it's in abundance, I don't like when it gets slushy, but I don't mind.
I don't like when
pretty
it gets icy either, because I like walking around. Like walking is very therapeutic to me. So when it gets in the way of my walking vibes, that's when it pisses me off.
Snow related, Shane Rumack wanted to know, favorite winter themed place in a movie or take in a movie? He said whether it be Fargo or Snow Dogs. Do you have like a favorite snowy movie?
There's a classic film called Jack Frost, starring Michael Keaton as a father who's passed away and come back to life as a snowman, and I'm going to go with that as my choice.
Good question. I'm thinking like wintry stuff, like the Mighty Ducks. I feel like there's probably snow in there at some point.
I think that the Mighty Ducks movie takes place in like LA.
I don't know.
They're hockey though, ice.
Yeah.
You want another basketball question?
Yeah, no. Let's get more less basketball, more regular people stuff.
All right, regular people stuff. Ginny wants to know on Twitter, what other podcasts do you listen to?
Oh, good question.
Great question. So I recently started listening to Missing Richard Simmons, but I feel like that's kind of losing some steam because I think recently the LAPD said that he's okay, which kind of takes the mystery out of it.
Really?
But the reason that pod's good is not just because there's the mystery of where's Richard Simmons been, and he hasn't really had any contact with the outside world in the last 3 years. That's sort of the premise. But why it works is because it's also a biography on this guy that's made over $200 million in like workout videos, sort of the oldies. And there's just so much you don't know about him. So throughout them trying to solve the mystery in the podcast, you kind of learn about this iconic, somewhat figure from the 80s and 90s, and stuff you just never would have known. So I think it's good on both of those fronts.
I recommend The X-Files. If you're into U.S. politics, it's hosted by a fellow named David Axelrod, who was Obama's right-hand man for many years. And he interviews like a lot of politicians in hour-long segments. So it's like he goes through their life and their work. And there's a recent episode with California Senator Kamala Harris, who, after listening to, she's the next Barack Obama. I'm not saying that because she's black. I'm saying that because she's like literally the most impressive community-minded politician there is working today, and she should be the president next president.
Shane wants you to know Mighty Ducks does not take place in LA.
Oh, where does it? I feel like it's
Is it in
outside.
I think
They're
it's
always
Minnesota.
in rollerblades.
No, I think it's
said he said
Minnesota.
Oh, it is Minnesota. My
Charlie
bad.
Conway, man.
Sorry.
All right, we should set up the Nelly Furtado interview.
Okay, should we do that here? Because we can't throw them to the Anali photography. Maybe we should wrap this and then
Let's
we'll
wrap
do that.
this. Okay, good.
Okay,
Well-
is there, like, we do a last question?
Yeah, the last question, maybe you can talk about some recent one. Caitlin wants to know what your favorite interview so far has been. Maybe one of the recent ones.
Okay, recent interview. I loved talking to Tom Chaplin of Keen, the band Keen, and he's got a solo record out. And I felt like that conversation was, I always say this, like, insightful, but this really was. I felt like he was super open in a way that a lot of guests aren't. And I just felt like him and I had like a good connection where there was like a comfort level that I hope comes across in the interview, and I certainly felt.
I don't know about you, because I love that interview. I also think that, like, because I think British accents have this, like, effect on our brains as North Americans, where anything they say sounds smarter and more honest than if you said it with a North American accent.
That's interesting.
Anyway, just sit on that.
Think about that.
Yeah.
So, Max, where can they find us? Google Play, iTunes, YouTube, muchmusic.com, SoundCloud.
Yeah.
So, the Mike and Much podcast, produced by Max Kerman, singer of Arkells. I'm the host, Mike Veerman. Our friend and pop culture aficionado is Shane Cunningham.
You got snowed in Hamilton.
Snowed in.
Shout out.
Thinking about you, buddy. Maybe he's already left to watch Mighty Ducks. But I guess that's it.
That's it. And add us on Instagram and Twitter. And also, if you're a fan of the show, this is actually kind of important. Go on to iTunes, make sure you subscribe to the show, and also leave a comment and a rating, because that is what makes this thing go. And if you got your boyfriend's phone nearby, go on it and do it on his phone too. Okay? Get on it!
All right, so we got big pod news coming up soon. That's the tease. We're not going to tell you what it is, but there's some big stuff coming up. Other than that, see you next week if we don't die on the weekend.
Done.